What's up, guys? So today I'm gonna do a little teaching, and yes, I don't have a shirt on. I don't care. I woke up. I slept very poorly, for no reason. Like last 2 nights, very poorly. So I'm not naked, proof, but no shirt on. So I'm gonna teach you guys about, from the squared angle, um, Firdaria. It's a timing technique, right? So, sorry. um, So basically, this is from ancient astrology, and it's basically a method, right, that basically shows us I guess you could say, the cosmic rhythms of our life by dividing it into certain periods that are represented by the planets, right? So you might be in your Mars period, your Moon period, your Mercury, and so forth. And then also within those periods, let's say you have like you're in your like let's say you're in your sun, right, which is a 10-year period. You have a subdivision, so you might be in your sun subdivision Saturn, and it can tell you. So I'll explain what that means. I mean, we're all going to be able to figure this out. So um, yeah, so basically, as I said, it's like periods governed by the specific planetary influences and the subplanetary influences, right? So it's like chapters are the planets, and paragraphs are the subplanets. And it can really give us more of a taste of the current astrology, um, the feel of a time period kind of based on that. So, um, yeah, like chapters of our life, kind of how I talk about the progress moon. So, it's through the seven classical planets, so we don't have like Pluto, Uranus, Neptune, and all of them, Chiron, um, and we do use the lunar nodes here, and it really matters like a lot in classical astrology whether you have a day or a night chart. So, so they're called either, like, you want to call it like a Firdaria, Firdara chapter, or Firdara period. Um, so it's either governed by the sun for a day chart or the moon for a night chart. Easy, right? Um, and then that first period is 10 years. Um, well, 10 for the sun, 9 for the moon. And then we cycle through the different planets, which are the same links for everyone, right? So, like, for example, sun, if you were born like me during the day, it goes sun, Venus, sun 10 years, Venus 8 years, Mercury 13. So it's like around your 19th birthday, you enter your Mercury. And then moon 9, Saturn 11, Jupiter 12, Mars 7, North Node 3, South Node 2. And if you're born at night, you start moon 9, then Saturn 11. So you enter Jupiter as a night chart around your 21st birthday, right? And then that's 12 years. And then Mars 7, Sun 10, same ones. Venus 8, Mercury 13, North Node 3, South Node 2. And then, like I said, within these, so it's very easy to tell. Like, for me, I'm in my moon period, right? Um, I've been in it for 2 years. So, um, then it's like you do the subdivisions, right? So, um, basically, um, like for example, like, how to explain this? So the first subperiod is ruled by the same planet, which rules the period, um, and then like for example, like if like for me, I'm in my moon period, right? So my first subdivision is the moon. Um, and um, sorry. So you break it into 7. So for me, let's say I'm in my moon, it's a 9-year period, so 9 divided by 7 um, would make it around, like, I think 1.8. Is that correct? I don't have my calculator. No, that's not correct. Hold on. No. No, 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 no. Not 1.8, what am I saying? It would be like 1.3, right? Or 1.4. Give me a second, guys. Yeah, because, okay, so yeah, 32, and then, okay. Yeah, well, there's a free calculator on astroseek.com. I just need to find that. So you search astroseek.com for Firdaria calculator, you enter your birth info. So stick with me, guys. It's more fun to learn like this, isn't it? Okay. Start from first cycle. So yeah, the cycles are 75 years. Subperiods, they have equal size, proportional size. That would be like, for example, like out of 70, because the sun, like the Mercury is a longer period, it would have 13. But let's just stick with equal sized. And then there's debate within that. So for me, it's showing like this, this period, right? Like where in 2021 of March, and it's like the day before it says March 17th. Did I put in March 17th for my birthday? No. So basically, like, yeah, the moon for me is until 2030, right? Sorry, guys. Sorry. My boobs. So you look at this, right? So for me right now, I'm obviously in my moon Jupiter, and it is so I was correct. It's 1.3 at this period during the moon. So it won't be till January of next year they'll be into moon Mars. So let's get back to the learning. So how to interpret it, right? 9 minutes. So based on how you currently are, obviously that dictates like where you're at with the Firdaria. Like I showed you how to calculate it, right? And it shows a whole chart. It's very easy. It shows you like where we'll be at any age. So obviously a sun period is all about the sun, self-expression. You're in your sun sign, and we'll get more into that in a sec. Moon is it's in the feminine, the kind of like I'm not gonna get into all the planets right now, right? Like what the Mercury is all about, expression, networking, friends, learning, blah blah blah. Venus, obviously, money, love, creativity, pleasure, blah blah. Mars, um, just action, growth. I guess that's more Jupiter. Just action, kind of determination, ambition, even conflict, impatience, whatever, boldness. Jupiter is definitely more about learning a lot, teaching, maybe traveling, just expansion and growth, and even abundance, spirituality, but also it could be over expansion, overindulgence, excess, right? So there's always a high and low. So Saturn is obviously like karma, like rigidity, restriction. I like the word austerity for karma. Discipline, kind of dedication, foundation building, structure, stability, all that stuff. North Node is, it's interesting, right? I would say it's just that search for higher growth, and South Node could be like letting go of the karmic past, right? So, purging and being able to, yeah. So, then when you combine this with the subperiods, you understand a lot, right? But like obviously the most important part, it's rooted in your birth chart, and this is why it's good to have an astrologer do this. So, like, let's say someone has the moon in, they're in their moon, and they have like an Aquarius moon in like I don't know, like third house. So that can be about self-expression, third house, but also independence and kind of like everything, the themes of the moon sign. But if Saturn, and it's using like classical astrology, right? So Saturn would rule Aquarius. If that's in the second, we could say that finances and personal values may be relevant during that time. And as we said, it's like then you look at Jupiter as a subperiod. So if that's in Cancer in the 8th, we can say that is, during that 12-month period or however long it is, I guess. There would be, lots of like family values, growth in within the home, and even like a sense of like something to do with finances, potentially like Cancer, Jupiter. So yeah, everything is like all about coming back to the natal chart, and so like let's say like you want to look at what houses. So like in this that example I gave, like after the moon would be what? It would be Saturn, right? But after Jupiter, I mean not the moon, would be Mars subdivision, right? So let's say, and like let's say that person has Sag rising. So Mars would be like let's say in the 5th and 12th, like if you're using Aries and Scorpio, because we're not using Pluto here, right? So Mars is more challenging traditionally, but especially for day charts, because day charts Mars is the most challenging, and the best, yeah. But and Jupiter is the best, and then night charts, it's Venus is the best, and Saturn is the most challenging. But if it rules the 5th of creation, during a moon main period, it could also indicate a very fertile time of introspection and birth. So, it always goes back to the natal chart. It always goes back to the natal chart. So that's kind of a brief overview of how to use the Firdaria. There's a lot more I could say. But as you see, you really have to kind of take it into consideration with everything else. Like your transits, your solar return, and so forth. So not just your solar return and transits, your progress chart, but like really it's about, like, with a lot of these techniques, like for me, for example, right? Like we look at where I'm at, like my moon period as a Sagittarius moon start at 31. And it's interesting how my moon is in the 4th house, and from let's like look at like the recent times, right? So June 2022, October 2023, that is when I was moon Saturn, and that's when I was really not good. So I'm not going to say it was around October 12th that I got out of this really difficult time. But it's so hard to keep this over. But whatever, screw it. We're just going top off. Actually, I'm going to get a shirt. But the point is that sorry, I'm kind of in my Pisces Mercury right now. No, the point is that like being able to use this is just another prediction tool that can help us really understand everything very deeply, right? So like I'm sure people watching this, if I can't really put this on Instagram because it's too long, so I'll probably just throw it on YouTube. It's definitely different. Like, or what am I saying? Let me put my shirt on first before we get there. Like, okay, so so when you look at my moon period, obviously it's going to be it's interesting that, I didn't move at that point, but I was on my moon astrocartography line. That was starting at like, what, 29-ish, 28. But anyways, I did have a big shift in my consciousness around, but that was more so around, like at like the Mercury Venus, maybe like during my Saturn return. So I would say it's more based on that. But moon was during COVID, and they also show you on AstroSeek your transit chart and your solar return, which obviously I know, but it doesn't show me. It doesn't show me the correct one because it doesn't know where I live, which is Argentina, baby. No, unless you change it. Buenos Aires. But yeah, so you have to really understand the condition of the planets. So, yes, like for me, I do have a very strong Saturn. So, but it's still Saturn, right? So if you look at my Firdaria, moon Saturn, you would think of like, okay, that is a more, when you think of like, okay, so the moon for me is Sagittarius, rules Jupiter. Jupiter rules my 11th house. And then so basically the 11th house, the house of gains, of friends, of networking, um, plus the fourth house are the two houses that are getting, in Jupiter and Cancer, right, are getting blown up here. So you could see why this period for me that I just entered in October until that's all this year until next January would be a very strong one, right? Because it's like going from Saturn, which is restriction, to Jupiter, which is expansion. And of course, I also moved a few months after this period started, which Moon has to do with that in some ways, right? Moon in Sagittarius, right? That's about moving in general. So you expect someone who has a Sag Moon to move during the Moon period. I mean, not for sure, but then like if it's Moon Jupiter, and my Jupiter's in Cancer, aka Cancer the home, you'd expect this to be a very positive period for me. So yeah, so you really have to look at like what the condition of that planet is in your natal chart, like the main planet. So in my case, the Moon, it's in Sagittarius. It squares my Sun and my Mercury, but it doesn't have any other like difficult aspects. That's it. You could say, oh, well, that's pretty tough, but no, it's not that tough. Like, it is tough on one level because it just creates like the two selves, but compared to like a Saturn or a Pluto hard aspect, it's not tough, in my opinion. Other astrologers may differ, but this is just what I believe, because like I guess like on a day-to-day level, it's more difficult, right? To have like Sun square Moon, Moon square Mercury, right? But like because they're more conscious energies, you can learn to heal them and to work with them better, Like I'm very aware of my Pisces and my Sagittarius sides, right? While if I had, let's say, Moon square Pluto, Moon square Saturn, that could be related to some deep trauma that is, I'm working my hardest to heal, but it's still there, deep in my unconscious, very deeply karmic, right? This is something that is less about healing and more about balancing. Just a little aspect talk for y'all. So back to the races. Okay, so as I said, my Saturn is in Capricorn, so I have a very strong Saturn. And it has very good aspects. But combining Moon and Saturn just in general, I don't care how good your Saturn is, as a Sag Moon with Saturn Capricorn, you're going to have a major split. And this was a period where I was working like crazy. Saturn Capricorn, 6th house. I was a workaholic. So you see that in the Firdaria, there was the split between my Moon and Sag, which is about having fun, or just learning new experiences, social life, all that. And Saturn and Capricorn, which was duty. This is when my business increased, right? This is when my business increased. I believe so. I believe it was. Yeah. I think it was 2022 when finally, and that's what Saturn is about. So this is how it gets even crazier. Like I've always worked really hard at my astrology, right? And like it was never consistent for probably the first 5 years, and I wasn't sure if it was going to be even as good of reports as I got from people. I wasn't sure if it was going to ever be a full-time career. It's just hard to make it as an astrologer. So when Saturn hit, I think like that was kind of like, when I've been doing readings, I was doing a reading last night talking about Saturn in the 2nd, I believe, and then Saturn in the 6th, which I have it there in whole sign, but 5th. But regardless of having Capricorn, so it's like it's like when you have your Saturn in those positions, like you will mainly second, sixth, like the success takes you time usually, but it is promised. Like it is like you will get there with hard work, right? So that's kind of how that makes sense to me. But then it also makes sense that I was, you know, going through it. Now, if we look back at times in my life, I should probably, as an astrologer, have this more tracked in terms of like, these periods. But I believe 25 was when my life fell apart. And that's when I was in Mercury Mars. Let me just, how would I know that? I mean, I guess I can know by year. I should have a document that has like my years, right? And my major events, just like for this type of thing. But let me just calculate really quick. So it's 3, so let's say 28. Yeah, so I mean, it's was it 2015? Yeah, so it's tough for me to remember if I was in Mercury Jupiter or Mercury Mars when my life fell apart. Um, where do I have this written down? I have a copy of my own book with me here in Argentina. There has to be an easy way for me to get this. I guess I could go. Hold on 1 second, guys. No. There has to be an easy way. Yes, there is. If I could, I have an idea. But yeah, so. Oh no, I can't get on. Hold on, guys. We're gonna break this down even further so you can do it for yourself. Okay, so we're looking here. Is it showing my solar return? Yeah, okay, so the solar return's outside. Interesting. Yeah, with my Pluto rising. Interesting how that shows up. I swear, like I paid a good amount of money for my program and it's great, but there's a lot that these sites like Astro.com, from what I've seen, AstroSeek has a lot going on too. I don't know if they offer like the main thing I think I get out of my program is just like I guess being able to save so many charts but like it messes things up. Solar fire does, like the longitudes, latitudes are not like my ascendant is not 27.59 Leo. It's 28 and change, and like as it says here, right? So yeah, it's like it messes it up by 0.03, and then I look and it shows that the longitude of San Francisco is off by a little bit. A client of mine noticed that the longitude of where he's from, Malaysia, was off a little bit. I was like, don't worry, it's not going to change things, but I'm still going to put it in Astro.com to see the difference, which is probably 0.02, 0.03, but still, like I'm making like predictions, like, so yeah. Anyways, okay, so I can figure out with here I'm signed in. Just trying to get like exact dates to kind of give you guys examples, but here we go. So yeah, basically like in the moon period, you look at the main position of the moon, fourth house. So like the fact that like I have a fourth house moon in the Placid system, is going to definitely, moon is about movement, right? Sagittarius moon is about movement. So it's not surprising that since I've been in this period, I guess I was already in Romania, but now I'm in Argentina, and now that I'm in Moon Jupiter, this is the big like big boom boom boom. And this is like how, the question is, how can you use Firdaria to kind of understand what's coming? Well, basically by looking at the chart and looking at the periods, I can tell you, okay, well, I'm in my moon Jupiter. So these two are very well linked, right? Moon and Sag, ruled by Jupiter. So of course, like, yes, I was still in a bad position from my moon Saturn because I was overworking and there was an imbalance in those two energies, right? Saturn Capricorn wants to sit and work and become like the boss, like not like on an ego way, but it just is a workaholic energy in this, in whatever, sixth or fifth house, right? Whatever, right? Even in Leo house. So it took my fun away. Fifth house, right? Saturn fifth house, and replaced it by work. Even though my work is fun to me, it still took my fun away. So now that I'm in Moon Jupiter, it's interesting how I entered this in October, but I was still then I was in a position where I was suffering a lot because my energy had shifted, but I was still I was like looking for something else, but I was still in that same environment, right? I didn't really have any friends anymore. I didn't have anything social I was doing fun. So something needed to change, and it led, sadly to a breakup between me and my now ex-girlfriend. But when you look at the astrology, and this is not the only way, you can look at my solar arc, Venus and Uranus conjunction exact in June of last year, right? That's another thing we can get into in another video, solar arc calculations, predictions with that. But this just adds another layer, and we can look at zodiacal releasing too. I might do a video on that next. But as I go down this list and try to find myself when I was living because some of you guys know, if you guys read my book, Pisces Live 9 Lives, which is on Amazon. I don't really promote it much. It's not a book all about me. Only 2 chapters are about me. The rest is my best ideas. Not my ideas, but Okay, so we get that I only have 5 minutes left. Okay, so we get that I moved to Boulder. Let's see here. Goddamn. Okay, so I was in California. When was I going through it? So here I was going through it. Here I was going through it. Okay. Here there was the maximum when I was going through it. January 1, 2015. Okay, so end of 2014 was the worst. December 2014 was my rock bottom. I need to remember that. So yeah, I still wasn't in the Mars yet. I was in. So this is what's interesting. I was in Mercury Jupiter during, but you have to look at everything. I had my progressed moon in Scorpio, right? That's when a lot of people's life fall apart. And other things were happening too, transit wise. But actually, when I got into Moon Mars, I was more motivated. I went to rehab for a problem with a benzodiazepine due to what now we know is my cyclothymia, which is like a mood disorder I have, undiagnosed, but not going to blame anything besides myself. But the point is this, guys. That was a long time ago. But basically, now I'm in Moon Jupiter, and because of that, right, since October, I needed this big change. I'm a Jupiterian person. I have Jupiter square my Sun, Jupiter square my Mercury. So I'm a Pisces Sag. So Jupiter in this system. So this is a very empowering, but it could be a little bit over the top time for me, right? With the moon, the moon's ruler. So, and then it's Jupiter in Cancer, right? So it's Moon in Sagittarius, right? Change. Jupiter you know, in Cancer, change of home, move to Argentina. And I did it in a very quick, snappy decision. One could say I decided too quickly. That's my mom's opinion. But the thing is, I did it, right? And I've been going out a lot more, right? So Jupiter likes to party. Jupiter, you know, is Sagittarius. So basically, like, this has unlocked my Sagittarius side a lot more than the Saturn period did. And when we look forward, so this is gonna be all this year until next January 24th, when it goes into Mars, right? And Moon Mars, you know, my Mars is in Aquarius, so that's a Saturn. That's more Moon Saturn. So maybe it's going to be something that, it's the sixth house. So maybe it's going to be a time where I'm really working hard. But this time right now is about social expansion, right? 11th house, and expansion of my home, right? I just bought a bunch of art yesterday, for example, right? So you see how it all makes sense. You see how, like, for example, I'm going to a concert tonight. Like, I've been going out a lot more lately. Not like crazy, but like, it's just interesting how during the Saturn period, I wasn't going out like nearly at all. So Firdaria, guys, in conclusion, this is a very interesting technique that can teach you a lot about a lot. And I encourage you to learn more about it. I hope this was informative. There's more I could say, but I only have about 15-20 seconds left on here. So if you want to book a reading with me, I didn't plan on doing this video, but I did. So if you want to book a reading, start with a natal chart. It's at JesseInisanAstro.com. And I'll talk to y'all later. I hope you guys learned a thing or two. Peace.